Yeah.
You want to like them, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, good morning. You are listening to Scout Team Sports. We are bringing it to you hot and live like we do each and every weekday morning. I am one of your hosts. They call me
You are the most
Loudbeard.
egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
And all of that is true. And the man on the other microphone, he is the great patriot himself. He's so patriotic, he hates America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And that would be...
Yeah, it's your boy, Chris America, coming to you live this Friday. Loudbeard, it is a Friday, November 30th, the last day of November. I feel like we did the Halloween episode just yesterday.
I know November went by in an absolute flash. Before you knew it, it was gone. And now here we are, last day of November. It's a beautiful Friday. It's cool outside. We're getting ready for the big holiday season. The lights are up in a lot of the people's houses. The shopping is starting to intensify. And we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the end of the year. And you and I, we're doing good because... Wait, do you hear that wind coming? Is that a really loud wind out there?
I don't...
Hey, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
No.
No, I think that was me moving the mic.
Oh. He said he would be on.
Yeah. Well, Loudbeard,
I
just
tried.
another thing that's gone with the wind, other than the month of November, is the college football season, and this is the last game for you to go to. Ooh, excuse me while I burp into the mic like a professional. This is the last game that UCF will have at home in Orlando for you to go to. Is this a little bit melancholy for you?
Well, I'm assuming we'll have games like next year. But
Well, no, I mean
for now,
for
this season.
For
yeah,
another long, what is it, 9 months, 10 months? Yeah, about 10 months.
The off season, especially in college football, just seems like it's forever. And there is going to be a bowl season, and even that is kind of weird because you take like a month off, and then you got to watch a game again. So you've got to get back into the football mode, and you don't even know what your team's going to look like because they took a month off. So this whole end of the college football season, it's rough. Now, I do like the fact that my team, the UCF Knights, is playing in the championship game, so I get to go watch them. Not every team gets that benefit. Not every team gets a bowl game. Like your Florida Gators, they will be in a bowl game, even though they weren't in the championship game this year. But there's a lot of fans out there. I'll use one fan base, for example, the Florida State Seminoles. They don't even get an opportunity to see their team in a bowl game. Their season is done. Can you imagine? Okay, maybe you can't imagine. Maybe right now Chris America's staring at the stars, imagining what it would be like not to have a bowl game right now.
Yes, I can imagine because it was just last year that we did that.
Yes. That's why you have a new coach, and that's why, you have the same quarterback, and you get the same results from the quarterback, but the rest of the team's really good. So you're doing all right. You're doing all right.
No, it was not the same results from Frank's. Frank has improved by a mile in each statistical category. The only problem is when you start as low as he did, a mile still is just
So you're saying like he's on an adventure to go around the world in 80 days, and he went from day 1 to day 2, and he still has 78 more days to go.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're saying.
That is a perfect analogy.
I try to come up with the stupid analogies just so people know that I didn't steal it from anybody else.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there that would say that they would claim that they took that I stole that analogy from them. This is real. This is raw. This is uncensored. This is live sports radio, Chris America. We're coming at the listeners hot each and every morning, weekdays at 6 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. on 12-ounce sports radio. And we talk about all the hot topics. And you're talking about college football weekend. This being one of the last weekends of college football, we have so many great games ahead of us. And I am excited about these games. The only thing I would say is a little disappointing is a lot of these matchups this weekend are rematches. But that's okay, because you know what? Sometimes the rematch can be even better than the original. It's not like movies when they make sequels and they're absolutely hot garbage 90% of the time. In these rematches, I have a feeling we're going to see some great, great football.
Yeah, it can kind of go one of two ways. Usually, the losing team, if they're equal teams, will end up winning the second time around. We saw that last year with Georgia and Auburn. You get the game film. There's nothing like playing a team on the field and then taking that game field and studying it. It's a lot different than just studying game field or game film without seeing them on the field. And a lot of teams are going to have that. But I think for UCF, it's going to be the opposite, because UCF kind of came away from that game feeling like a loss. They came away from that game just being glad to win, made the halftime adjustments. And so I feel like they're going to come in with this new way of stopping the Memphis Tigers and their running attack, just like they did in the second half of that football game.
Yeah, I mean, and for Memphis, this is a completely different game that they're going to have to adjust for, because it's not Milton. So they have a new quarterback to adjust for. So you're going to see a different style of play from both teams. You're going to see some adjustments that were made. And so the UCF Memphis, the American Championship that we have coming up this weekend, it could be a lot different than the first game that we saw. And looking back to last year, this is a rematch from what happened last year. UCF played Memphis regular season last year. Now, UCF handled them pretty good in the regular season, but that conference championship game, that was an absolute thriller, and it went down to the very end, and that's what I think we're going to see out of this matchup. It's going to be a very close game, a lot of running. I think with both teams, they have very strong running games, really fast, quick, just dynamic running backs on both sides of the field. And you're going to see that this is going to be kind of a close game, but obviously, Loudbeard has got to go for the UCF Knights. And I'm seeing a victory here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the conference championship kickoff starts tonight with the Pac-12, Utah versus Washington. Loudbeard, I got to be honest with you. I had to look that up to see who was playing in the Pac-12 championship. I knew it was Washington. I just had no clue who came from the South. I feel like the Pac-12 South has to probably be one of the worst divisions right now. Not the worst, but just the most down division right now in college football.
Yeah. Washington State had a nice run this year. They had a good story leading up to the end. Now, them losing to Washington at the very end made a complete difference from what ended up happening. So now, when you're looking at the Pac-12 championship and it's Utah and Washington, I mean, they're both ranked teams. Washington's at 11. Washington had a lot of high hopes going into the season. They were ranked really high on the preseason AP poll, which we know doesn't mean anything. And they took a couple losses early, like a loss to Auburn, and then they also, throughout the season, I mean, they're 9-3. So the Pac-12 is always down, in my opinion. We always think USC is going to be better than they are. We always think that Washington and Washington State are going to be in the top 4, or at least Washington this year was expected to be up there in the top 10. And you just don't get as good a football out of the Pac-12. But Utah, Washington, I felt the Apple Cup last week was a better matchup and a more exciting game than what we're getting out of this game.
I mean, when it snows, it makes it all the much better.
That's true. That's what we need is some snow. Bring it in hot.
Let it snow, let it snow. Yeah, so Utah, Washington. I got to go with Washington on this one. Like I said, the South is just, USC's down. Arizona's bringing in a new coach. Arizona State, Herm Edwards is great, but he's got a lot of work to do there. Colorado's Colorado. So you're kind of left with Utah, aren't you?
Yeah, Colorado was a weird team this year. They started out, I think they were like 4-0 to start the
5-0, yeah.
season. 5-0, right? And maybe that was just maybe they had a soft schedule at that point or whatever it was, but all of their weaknesses were basically just magnified throughout the rest of the season because they fell apart. They couldn't get a whole lot of wins the rest of the way. So when you start out 5-0 and then you just fall off the cliff like that, obviously you're not a real contender. And, you get left with the best of the rest. And Utah, I mean, they've quietly had a good season. 9-3 record is nothing to sneeze at, nothing to, look down at. I think Utah and Washington have both had good years, but we're not keeping them in the conversation. I mean, of a top team, a top 10 team, the Pac-12 hasn't contributed anything to the conversation of who's going to be in the top 4 in this CFP playoff run. So we're talking about them because it is interesting to talk about a Power 5 conference and their championship, but we don't think that either of these teams really are going to make any noise. This is just going to be a one-game, fun to watch. Okay, there you go. Pac-12 after dark. Good times.
And I feel like this is where the college football playoff kind of ruined college football. I remember any conference championship game was exciting because you're trying to see who's going to win that conference, and then that's going to give you your Rose Bowl matchup. The Rose Bowl being a big deal. Who's going to go play there? What Big Ten team's going to go play there? That kind of thing. And I feel like the more I think about it, everybody says what? Do we want an 8-4 or a 9-4 team getting into the playoff? And the more I think of it, I feel like since we're not going to give everybody similar schedules, then you kind of have to throw the record book out a little bit, don't you, Loudbeard? Because what if their schedule just had 4 losses on it where somebody else's schedule didn't? I mean, like the UCF argument. And I've always said the playoff, that's what a playoff is for. The playoff is supposed to sort that stuff out for us. But we digress. We've talked ad nauseum about the playoff, Loudbeard. I don't know if you want to throw anything in there before that, you can. But
yeah, I just want to say that you're right. That it makes these conference championships not as exciting when the teams aren't involved in that final conversation. If you had it where it was conference championships mattered into the playoff picture because it is a postseason, like you have mentioned in the past on our previous shows, it is a postseason game. If you make it where it matters, this game all of a sudden becomes such a bigger game. And then the next step would be them, again, having to, whoever wins this game, whether it's Utah, a 9-3 or a 10-3 Utah team, if they squeak in because they're a conference champion, to me, that makes for interesting TV. That makes for an interesting storyline. And you could see a Cinderella team maybe making a run, but college football doesn't like Cinderellas. They want it to be a blue blood program no matter what. So Utah, sorry, even if you're a conference champion, we're not even going to consider you. So that's that. We've talked about it a lot, and conference champions should matter for something.
Yeah, I agree. Or just get rid of the game altogether. If you're going to put these kids' health and lives on the lines for free, then just get rid of the game. But, Loudbeard, which game outside of the UCF game are you looking forward to most? Is it this Washington-Utah game? Is it Texas-Oklahoma? Or is it Alabama-Georgia?
Well, this one's a tough one. I've got one, I guess I could say that I'm looking forward to the most because that's what you're asking. If I was to say that, I would say that probably Alabama, Georgia, just to see, okay, who's legit here. Georgia fans think they're the best ever. Alabama fans think they're the best ever. Somebody's got to lose. Let's figure out who's going to lose. Can Alabama be dominant against a top 4 team like they have done in the past with LSU, and they have to do it again? Let's see. Let's see what they can do. I feel like their offensive power has it was really tough or really great at first, but Alabama's scoring output has kind of slowly dwindled. Not to say that they're not doing a great job and probably the best team in college football right now, or they are the best team in college football right now. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that they've kind of slowly, I don't know, teams are figuring them out more and more as the year goes on is what I'm kind of saying. And let's see if Georgia can game plan and maybe put a whole wrench in the works and give Alabama a big loss. I mean, it's fun to watch. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most, just to see the two big SEC juggernauts that we've put up on these huge pedestals. Not me personally, but, the college football world has put them up on these huge pedestals. Let's see what they can do. I want to see Alabama win because I'd like to see Georgia get knocked out. That way there's not two SEC teams, because I feel like if Georgia wins, Alabama's still going to have that argument, we just got one loss. Even though it was a conference championship game and it should matter, it doesn't matter. We still should get in the playoffs. So I would like to see Georgia knock off Alabama in this game, and that's what I would look forward to. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I'd like to see Alabama knock off Georgia, and Alabama kind of put it to rest that the SEC has one team that should be in it, and that's Alabama. But honestly, Chris America, I'm looking forward to most of these games because I want to see the chaos theory play out. And even at the end, I know no matter what happens, UCF will get left out of the conversation, and UCF still has to go 1-0. But I love the chaos, and for the chaos to happen, I need to see, one, like I mentioned, Alabama beat Georgia. And then I am also going to look forward to Northwestern and Ohio State. Because guess what, Chris America? I'd love to see me some Northwestern take it to Ohio State. So I can't say that I'm going to look forward to one game. I'm looking forward to all of the chaos theory games because I want to see the underdogs win in all of these games except the Alabama game. I want to see Bama in it, and I don't want to see two SEC teams.
Yeah, I don't want to see two SEC teams either. I kind of it's never going to happen, at least not with Nick Saban. But I'm kind of wanting to see in this situation a coach rest his players in this conference championship game and say, hey, we feel like you are going to put us in no matter what we do. And even if I rest my players, then the committee and all the sports fans are going to say, well, they would have won that game if he would have started his players, but he was being he was being a mad genius by resting his players. And so we can't count that loss to Georgia because Alabama was sitting Tua and all their other starters. I kind of want to see that happen, Loudbeard. I kind of want to see
That would be hilarious. That would be absolutely hilarious.
A slap in the face to the committee and just dare the committee, don't put us in. We know you won't put us in, we know you won't leave us out, so we're going to make sure our players are rested. We're going to make sure that Tua doesn't get hurt.
Oh, man. I think that I love your theory because you're looking at it in this total perspective of the CFP. They already have their decisions made, right? Like in the back of my mind, they already know that they're going to put Alabama in no matter what happens. So if that's the case, if our theory is correct, it would be awesome if Nick Saban said, hey, we were the best team all year. It doesn't matter what we do here. Like you said, just rest them all. Tua doesn't need to play this game. I need to make sure he's healthy for this invitational playoff that ESPN and the college football higher-ups have shaken hands and decided only should be these blue blood teams. We should rest our players for that invitational because that's when we really need them. And that right there would expose the farce that it all is that we've been all talking about. Did you, Chris America, I don't know if you saw this or not, but we got a text in on our texter line, and one of our listeners, they are asking a quick question. They're saying, what makes you think Georgia won't get in with a loss?
Because they'll have two losses. Yeah. Especially if Oklahoma and Ohio State win, Georgia's not getting in.
So maybe he's saying on this chaos theory that if Alabama beats Georgia and Oklahoma and Ohio State lose, that Georgia would get in over UCF, which again could happen because
I would watch Michigan jump in there. I really would.
Yeah, because Michigan's not playing. You're right. Michigan over Georgia. Yeah, I think Georgia's
Georgia
sitting
fans,
at 4.
Sorry, Georgia fans in the Georgia Bulldog program. You do not carry the same clout that Ohio State and Michigan do. You just don't. The SEC might, but it's mostly because of Alabama. Ohio State is a by far bigger brand than the Georgia Bulldogs. It just is. It's a nationwide brand. The Big Ten, SEC fans don't want to hear this. The Big Ten is a bigger brand than the SEC. It really is. When you look at how much money they make, how much viewership they get, how many fans pack in their stadiums week in and week out, they're they're just bigger. I don't know what it is about it. We can sit here and say down in the South it means more, but the money and the viewership and the fans numbers don't lie. It's a bigger deal in the Big Ten, and I don't see Georgia getting in if they lose. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't see a scenario where they will. I agree with you. Michigan, honestly, Michigan in the chaos theory would probably still jump in over UCF. And
Yep.
when we're looking at these matchups, we're not talking about who's playing it on the field, because obviously Michigan's not playing this week because they're not in their championship game. They don't have the opportunity to play this week, and we're saying that Michigan probably would have a better chance than Georgia. Well, that's chaotic right there, because if you can't even make your championship game, how are you even going to have a shot? But we proved last year when Alabama jumped in, even though they did not have a shot at their own SEC championship game and made it in either way, that it doesn't matter. All they're looking at is who's the better, sexier team that we feel like has the bigger fan base that we on paper think is a good team that would be great to put into this invitational that we want. And a lot of it doesn't have to do with what's on the field. It's what's in the minds and the brains of this committee. And that's the sad part.
They get to make up whatever rules they want. So, I mean, can they put Georgia in? Of course they can. You know who else they can put in? They could put Northwestern in if they wanted to. If they wanted to say, wow, we were really impressed with that Northwestern win over Ohio State, we're going to jump them up from 21 to number 4, they can do it. There's nothing to stop them from doing it. Now, the only thing that's going to stop them from doing it is there would just be total pandemonium, and it would make them look bad. But the point is, there are no rules, there are no regulations stopping them. They can put FSU in if they want. They can literally put FSU into the college football playoff if they so choose, because that's the power they have. Because
wow, that's a serious chaos theory.
It is an invitational. It is not a playoff you qualify for. It is an invitational that this committee decides who is in and who is out. But Loudbeard, we missed the biggest game of the week.
Yep, we did.
It takes place in the great state.
Wait, did you hear 6:22 on the dot? You got yesterday's prediction was perfect for today. Did you see that, Chris America?
I did.
This isn't my fault all the way.
Hey, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
This is
I'm
or
only
this isn't?
here so I don't get fined, man. This isn't all my fault. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Look, dude. Look. Why you got to throw Florida State out like that? Look, no one's voting for Florida State.
No, I know
to
they're
college
not. I'm
football
just
playoffs.
saying if they wanted to, they could. But I was going on a nice tangent about how the biggest game of this week is the rapper Drake is taking on Iowa State this week.
What?
Drake
I know.
at Iowa State tomorrow at noon. Be there or be square.
What? Like in a wrap off? I don't
know.
He pinned on pads.
I just see
Maybe a
Drake
maxi
is playing
pad. I don't know.
Iowa State. He's got this really cool logo of like a D with like a bulldog standing behind it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's actually got a 0.8% chance of winning. 0.8.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Drake.
Drake. You know he light skinned, right? I'm not gonna get into it. We're fine. Look, whatever you say. That's the biggest game of the week. Yeah. Go ahead.
That is the biggest game of the weekend right there.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah. Roll with it, I
another
guess.
big game that Anthony Mack is always into, and that would be the ACC championship game. The Golden Mike is a big ACC advocate, and he loves watching ACC football. So he gets to watch the Clemson Tigers versus Pitt. Now, this is a little bit of a lopsided game. Do you guys feel that there is any chance that Pitt can pull off a severe upset here?
Pitt just got annihilated by Miami last week. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Not even. This is a chance to rest players for. Well, I don't even think you should rest players because there's 4 weeks in between the championship and the ACC championship.
Sorry, after I saw Mackenzie Milton have his knee shattered, I have bad images and just don't. You don't want to get that happen to him.
Yeah.
You don't want any. I mean,
you don't want any.
If it's not
I
a game worth
understand
winning, yeah. I wouldn't play I wouldn't play my QB in this game. I mean, my backup is way capable of handling it.
I mean,
that
I
game
would
this
even
week.
suggest Nick Saban sitting out this game. I mean, players come crashing through the sidelines at all times. You do not need Nick Saban out for the national championship game.
Well,
or the
we're talking about the
first round of the
Clemson
playoffs.
Pitt game here. If Clemson
Oh, we're
and
talking about
Pitt-
that game?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
that
Clemson
game-
Trevor
can't afford
Lawrence
the rest of
game
their
doesn't
players.
matter.
sit out.
Clemson
Clemson
can't afford to, because if they lose, they're out.
Yeah, but you really think they're? I mean, anything can
If
happen.
they put their
We did just
backups
see-
in, yes, Pitt is good enough to beat Clemson's backups.
I agree with that. Now, Anthony, you mentioned that
Maybe.
Pitt got annihilated by Miami last week. Now, here's
Yeah.
the problem with that is there was no incentive for Pitt to win that game. They didn't care, right? So because they're going to be in the ACC championship no matter what, they were going in and they're going to play possum. This is the conspiracy theory I have. They're going
They
to
might have even rested their players.
They might have even rested theirs. They're going to lure in Clemson and say, "Oh, look how bad Pitt is. They lost to Miami." Well, Pitt says, "Well, you know what? We're going to be in that championship game no matter what. We're going to show you how bad we can be, and then we're going to turn around next week and just sucker punch you right in the face." And that's what could happen. And you never know because each week it's completely different. Would you have ever said that Purdue would have just totally blown out Ohio State this year? Does that make any sense to you whatsoever? Any sense at all?
None.
Zero.
None.
But this would be the exact same as that. Now, the likelihood that it happens, it's not very good, but you never know. You
Now-
never know.
Around this time of year, Pitt played another number 2 team, a team high and mighty, running on this undefeated streak. Everybody kept saying, the U is back, and Pitt hammer stomped them in the face.
which is
Thor
goes
camp.
against your theory. Because if I was Pitt, I would look to do it again just to prove a point.
Yeah,
And
so that's
they
what I'm saying.
didn't.
Is they're playing another number 2 team in the ACC again. Watch for history to repeat itself.
Nah, I don't
I'm just saying there
I
is
hear
a
you.
chance. No, we really don't think there's a chance.
No, I don't.
This is going to be a boring game. The ACC has got so many problems football-wise. If only there was a really, really good football team sitting in another conference on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean that they could invite and maybe kick out one of their trash football teams. If only that
I
existed.
wish that were the
Now-
case. I don't
Now,
know.
there is a school in the Atlantic Coast Conference that's all the way out in Kentucky, which is nowhere near the coast. Like, I'm pretty sure it's probably like a good 8-hour drive to get to a beach. So, probably should look for one that's like, I don't know, like 45-minute drive to the
Yeah.
beach, to the Atlantic.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, this
I hear
school
you.
that I'm talking about is even closer to the Atlantic Ocean than Tallahassee is.
Because Tallahassee's close to the Gulf.
Right. And
Right.
it's the Atlantic Coast Conference,
I hear you.
not the
It's weird
Gulf
how that worked
Coast
out.
Conference.
I'm just saying.
Anyways,
So-
we digress.
So you,
Hey, I'm
you
just
want
saying that Pitt
UCF to
does
join
have a
the
chance.
ACC?
You guys are saying Pitt doesn't have a chance. I say
Oh
they
man, if
do.
UCF join the ACC, Miami and Florida State are in trouble.
Recruiting and stuff would be. Ooh.
I don't believe that, but it'll be nice.
You
to
wouldn't
see
believe
them
that though.
in a
You're a
big
fan
conference.
of Florida State. You wouldn't want to
I
believe
just-
that.
I'm just saying, man. Like, I get it, but if they join the conference, they join the big conference right now.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take them 3 more years to get where they are.
I don't know about
What?
that.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
First of all, ACC is not a big conference.
it's
Have
not
you
a big. It's
seen-
a,
Whoa.
it's a
It's
trash
a 7-5
conference.
record right now to be in the
Whoa.
championship. game.
UCF
Whoa.
UCF would finish behind Clemson in the ACC,
Right.
without a doubt. They are better than all. How many teams you guys got? 14. They would be better than 13 out of the 14 teams, without a doubt, this season.
Right. No, there's no doubt.
I'm
You
not
can't
gonna
name a
argue with you
team.
guys this
You-
morning.
Like who
You
would be
can't name
better?
it. Who would be the
I'm
team?
not going to argue with you guys this morning
Because you can't
I'm not
name a
gonna do
team.
it. I'm not going to.
Like if you said the SEC, I'd be able to say you got an argument for Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and LSU, and we would all be like, I can see that. If I
Yeah,
named
it's
the
an
Big 12,
argument. Yep.
if I named the Big 12, you would say West Virginia, Texas, and Oklahoma have an argument that they could be better than UCF. You can't name another team in the ACC better than UCF,
Okay.
other than Clemson.
Fair.
I'm not going to
Fair.
argue
That's
with
a
you.
fair point. He's being
I'm
reasonable.
not going to.
That's reasonable.
I'm not going to do it.
All right, well, guys, we're on the other side of the break. We're going to talk about how big of a genius we are because of last night's game.
Did you know 40 points on your credit score could cost you $40,000 on a mortgage? Thankfully, Lexington Law is here to help. Since 1991, Lexington Law has helped over 500,000 customers take action on their credit reports. Call 877-910-7472 to talk to a repair specialist now. Personalized credit consultation is free. Getting access to your report is free, plus free score evaluation with a recommended solution. Call now and get on the path to recovery. Call Lexington Law at 877-910-7472. That's 877-910-7472.
Oh, it's summertime. And what's that mean? We're all heading off to the golf course. But don't go too fast. Make sure you go to 12ouncesportsradio.com and book a tee time. At the bottom of any page, you'll see Book Like a Pro. Click that banner, enter your course of choice or zip code, find a tee time you like, book that tee time, and you'll get up to 50% off courtesy of 12 Ounce Sports Radio. Book like a pro, even if you don't play like one.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
All right, welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Sports. He's the Golden Ghost. He's Chris America, and I am Loudbeard, and we are bringing it to you hot each and every morning, weekdays, 6 a.m., and again at 11 a.m. on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. And once again, if you do not catch the live shows, you can always go back and listen to all of our greatness on the podcast. It's basically Scout Team on demand. Just check it out on our website, scoutteamradio.com, or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or anywhere you can find a podcast. If you are interested in hitting up our show, you can hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. Tweet at us, live tweet at us during the show. We will read your tweets on air. We will bring in your topics, we will bring in your conversation, and we will make you a part of the show. Hit us up there. We're also social on Facebook and Instagram at Scout Team Radio. And with all that being said, I have to say, Chris America, I have to say it, you were right, and I was right, and we're all...
How the hell do you know that?
Because I'm a genius.
Yeah, we're all right.
We called it
Why
yesterday morning.
are we all right, Chris America? Why?
Because we said on a Thursday night game at home for the Dallas Cowboys, it was a very winnable game for the Cowboys. We all picked the Cowboys to upset the Saints, and we broke it down for you. Thursday night games, always generally, 60% of the time, it works every time. The home team wins Thursday night's games. Doesn't matter how good or how bad the home team is. On a Thursday night, weird things happen. Just short game. Drew Brees. I don't know if it was Drew Brees had an off night or if the Dallas Cowboy defense was just on point. I mean, we talked about Vander Esch. He had a big game last night. They had a goal line stand last night at one point in the game. They just shut down the Saints offense.
Yeah, wasn't it Vander Esch fun to watch last night? That guy, I don't know what it is. I hate the fact that he's on the Cowboys. I look back, I'm thinking, man, maybe the Redskins could have drafted this guy. Well, this guy, I mean, he comes out of Boise State. he wasn't very well known, at least not to me. And when he got drafted, I was like, okay, this is a good pick for the Cowboys. Let's see what happens. And now all of a sudden, I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, wow, this is the future of the Dallas Cowboys defense. This is like a Brian Urlacher type guy. This is like a Ray Lewis type guy, a guy that could be transcendent for this organization. And I love watching him. I know he's just a rookie, but he goes out there and he has got this attitude, and he can just totally tear it up. Last night he gets over 10 tackles. I mean, he's just all over the place, and he helps that defense shut down this prolific running game of the Saints. Kamara, he didn't have any breathing room to do anything. And you don't usually see that. Ingram didn't have any breathing room. You don't usually see that. This defense was legit last night. I know they had the home field advantage. I know Thursday night games are weird, but oh my gosh, I am so upset that my Redskins are officially going to have to battle with this team to try to make a playoff spot, because it does not look good for my team, because the Cowboys defense is just all over the place, and they're going to make a serious push here to get to be the NFC East champions this year.
Yeah, you said it all. I'm in disbelief. I mean, we kind of thought Dallas would come and take the game, but I was in the back of my mind. I was like, New Orleans is gonna win this one. They're gonna keep the streak alive, but they couldn't do it. They looked the second half and only in the fourth quarter. So it is what it is.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Vander Esch last night or yesterday morning with the Rookie of the Year. Actually, last night while I was watching the game, I was like, let me go and look at his draft day video. Let me see what the pundits were saying. And one of the interesting things about Vander Esch and his road to where he is today is he came from a high school where there was 8 boys and 2 girls, I believe, in his class or something like that. It was a very small school. He played on a football team where it was only 8 players on the field. So that's where he, pretty much made his bread and butter, was on the defensive line or on the defensive middle linebacker or inside linebacker. When you're only on a team of 8 players, you got to cover a lot of field as a linebacker if that's the case. Yeah. So, and then he went on to Boise State as a walk-on. As a walk-on, this kid did, and then he's a first-round draft pick several years later. These are the kind of stories I like to see, and these are the stories that get ignored because we're too busy focusing on Power 5 this and Power 5 that. When the NFL scouts, they don't care about any of that. They're looking at every single conference. They're not. The Dallas Cowboys didn't sit there and say, "Oh, he plays for Boise State. He didn't play nobody. Who did he play? Who was on his schedule? Let me see his schedule. Oh, he played Hawaii and Fresno State. Yeah, those are trash schools. He's not that good of a linebacker. Nope. They said, hey, we're actually going to evaluate the player. They did. They made the selection, and it's paid off dividends for them.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I love those good stories. These walk-ons, you're seeing more and more of this where these guys that aren't highly touted out of high school, that they're more question marks, are more unknown, and then all of a sudden they burst on the scene and they're like walk-ons on them programs, and I love seeing those stories. I mean, he is a perfect example, and he could be the future of the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. And watching last night, I mean, this guy, he runs this defense. He is the heart and soul of this defense. He has taken over that mantle spot from Sean Lee, and the Cowboys are loving it. They seem like they are responding to it. The camera is always on this guy. He is the center of attention. And when your team goes out and holds the Saints to 10 points in a huge matchup on Thursday Night Football, you're in the spotlight, you know that was your game to showcase your skills and tell the world we are here and we mean business.
You're getting kind of excited about Dallas right now, man. I mean, calm down, pump the brakes, man. Like,
hey, man, I'm an analyst. I'm a sports broadcaster. I like to talk about sports. I'm not just a homer. I like to talk about it all, and I don't like the Dallas Cowboys. My personal team, the Redskins, we hate the Dallas Cowboys, but I love good football. Anthony Mack, don't you love good football?
I love good football, but I will never root for the Dallas Cowboys. So,
I'm not rooting for the Cowboys. I just love analyzing good football, my friend.
That's right. And we talk about you're talking about
like
good
you jumping
football.
on the Cowboy train.
You're talking about good football. Let's talk about some Thursday night bad football. Drew Brees, 18 of 28, 127 yards, 4.4 5-yard average an attempt. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, QBR of 16.3. If this was any other quarterback, he would be completely roasted right now.
Yeah, but he's
Alvin
not
Kamara,
a quarterback, though.
Alvin Kamara, 11 carries, 36 yards, 3.3 yards a carry. Look at this. I mean, Thomas.
He did have 8 receptions, though, just throwing that
8
out
receptions, 36 yards, still under 100
get
yards.
loose. They always.
I'm glad he got
were
the 8
on him.
receptions because that's 8 points for me on my fantasy team. Thank God for PPR, right? It was just an all-around bad night for the Saints offense. And look, this is why we play the game.
Now, there was another part of the game.
I knew that was
going
to come up eventually. Yeah, this is why you play the game. I hear it.
No, I was going to say there was another part of the game that I wanted to point out, which, again, I'm not going to try to be – I'm going to be neutral here. But the Cowboys got a couple calls their way that were a little questionable. I felt like there was a few calls that were and when I say questionable, they weren't questionable. They went their way that shouldn't have gone their way. There was several really bad officiating mistakes in this game, and to me that hurts the quality of the football when you see these. There was a first down play that they gave him the first down, and he was obviously short by over a yard. I think Cole Beasley was the receiver that had his knee was down, but Peyton had already used his challenge flag.
His 2 challenges, yeah.
And because of that, he couldn't challenge it, and they completely blew the call, and that hurt the Saints late. You know what also hurt the Saints late is Drew Brees throwing an interception when they have the ball and they could come down and win. And to me, you never see that out of Drew Brees. That was a weird off thing, and hopefully the Saints can just wipe this away and put it behind them. But officiating stunk.
Well, the rest of the teams on their schedule, including my Carolina Panthers with defensive mind Ron Rivera as our coach, we need to look at what Dallas did and use it as a blueprint. We can't just give it all to the fact that it was a Thursday night game. Dallas did show up defensively, and to the fact that they did have such a great game plan on a short week is pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
But that's not me being a fan. That's just me, Loudbeard, loving good football analysis.
Chris America, I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to help your Panthers out real quick. And this is going to be just a quick 2-minute segment for you. But
wait a minute.
All right.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
If I was the Carolina Panthers, I would build a time machine and go back to the 2017 draft, and I would go back. 2018 draft, and I would draft Leighton Vander Esch, and that's the only way the Panthers defense is going to beat the Saints.
Whoa!
I would go back in time and draft the man that helped lead that defense.
Slow your roll there, Doc Brown. As much as Vander Esch is good, he is no.
I was giving you the blueprint.
He is no Luke Kuechly. All right. If there's anybody that can repeat what the Dallas Cowboys did, it's my man Luke Kuechly, who Vander Esch should be watching and studying, and one day he too can be as good as my boy Luke Kuechly. Get out of here with that mess.
As much as we talk about how bad the Saints' offense was, their defense wasn't any better, by the way. The defense looked like shredded cheese. They made Dak and Zeke look like superstars.
I mean, they still held them to 13 points.
It's still, though, like, they were running all over that. I mean, Zeke was just like
he only had like 76 yards, and he had over 20 carries. If I remember correctly, I had to look at the stats. I don't know if Chris America's got his
Those were big
up.
plays, though. Big plays. Big plays win games. And your defense has to hold them on 3rd and long. Period.
Yeah, 23 carries, 76 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. Only one big play of 21 yards was his longest carry. But yeah, man,
I think you're making
totally shredded him.
Big plays. Yeah, they gotta stop him no matter what. They gotta stop him.
That's about when he was into like his 10th fuzzy. That was when he was in his 10th fuzzy navel, and that 5-yard run looked like a.
It wasn't a
run.
fuzzy navel.
Chris America, I have a quick question for you. Do you think Anthony Mack's statement about Zeke Elliott, do you think it was the thinker or the stinker.
Well, I mean, look, I've watched a lot of football in my life. I've been around for a long time. Maybe if this was 1952, having
You gotta
76
stop the big
yards, a
plays.
one long of 21 yards, and a 3.3 yards per carry average would have been a big game. But this is
You
2018.
gotta stop the big plays.
Now they
This is
did
gotta
say
stop the
that the
big plays.
Saints, I think, had held nobody over or had held all their running backs that had gone against them under 70 yards the entire season. So this was
so he
actually
broke
So
it.
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
broke the
Boom.
record.
In your face.
Boom.
Boom.
There you go.
In your face,
So
bro.
It was a good game for
don't at
them,
me.
but it wasn't like as electric. I mean, Saquon Barkley can do that in a quarter.
Yeah, he can.
On the
True story,
Giants.
bro.
Yeah.
Well,
Giants.
Loudbeard, I'm going to switch gears here in the DeLorean and head back into the present time. Well, not back into the present time. I'm going to head back to last night to the Warriors versus the Raptors.
Yes. I'm glad you
and
brought
to
this up.
prepare
Good
for
game.
this, to prepare for his game this weekend, Drake was at this game. He got a little bit of
Drake
advice
is
on how to
everywhere.
beat. He got a little bit of advice on how to beat Iowa State from KD. KD gave him his jersey after the game. So hopefully we'll see Drake in a KD jersey playing Iowa State this weekend. But overtime win for the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, big time win for the Toronto Raptors. Now, KD had a great game, 51 points from KD. He was doing everything he could. The final score, 128-131. Raptors pull it off. KD has a huge game, but Kawhi also has a huge game. Kawhi with 37 points, he's putting his thumbprint on this game, saying this is a signature win for us. This is the Warriors without Steph Curry, but this is still a really talented Warriors team, and the Raptors got a great win out of this. I can see these two teams playing in the finals come playoff time. I can see these two teams doing that because the Raptors, to me, are head and shoulders above every other team in the East. And you can make arguments for Sixers and Celtics and all these other teams, but to me, it is the Raptors East to lose, and I think they have got it. And, we've talked about the Warriors nonstop. I don't see anybody knocking them off unless there is some miraculous run where the Rockets of last year come back and actually finish out a series. But unless something like that happens, Warriors, Raptors, we could have been seeing the preview of the finals, and it was an overtime thriller and a lot of fun to watch.
Did I hear you just say Toronto is going to win the East?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, okay.
Wait, who you got? I want to hear this.
I think it's wide open. I don't think it's Toronto a front runner, but hey, it is what it is.
I mean, right now, there's definitely a clear front runner in the East. Now, obviously, 82-game season, that can change, but Toronto has looked more impressive than the Philadelphia 76ers, the Boston Celtics, and the defending Eastern Conference champions, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Ooh, the Cavs, though, they did trade away Corver, but I don't know. They could have a shot.
I mean, we have
Who
seen
knows?
it. We have
LeBron
seen
could
it in
be
the
traded
past.
back to Cleveland.
That's
and
true.
They can destroy Toronto and
In
get clobbered
fairness
by
to Cleveland, this is typical Cleveland basketball the last several years, where they kind of have a slow start and then they turn it on January, February, and they go. So they can still make a late push like they always do.
That's because they had. Never mind.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving, I know he's gone,
Yeah,
but Cleveland fans have got to get over it. They got to move past the loss of Kyrie Irving and nobody else.
I don't know. I mean, there was another game
It
on last
seems like
night.
somebody else was there, but it's fine.
There
I
was
got you.
another game on last night. Not just this game. There was another big game on. It might have been who else played? Was there a team out in Los Angeles that played last night?
Yes, the Los Angeles
Golden
Clippers.
Knights.
The Clippers beat the Sacramento Kings 133-121. With the Warriors loss, the LA Clippers, the best team in LA, definitely solidified their number one spot in the Western Conference. We talked about how Toronto was a clear-cut favorite to win the East, or they've at least solidified their number one spot in the East. And right now, the LA Clippers, Loudbeard, I'm so glad you brought up the Los Angeles Clippers. I wanted to talk about them too. They definitely 133-121. I mean, you look at the standings, they're on top of the West. They rule all. They are the creme de la creme of the Western Conference. That's who you're talking about, right?
Yeah, well, there
it
might
means
have been
we don't wanna talk
another
about-
team in LA that played last
We don't want to
night.
talk about 12 and 9
Holy
team.
crap,
We want to
man.
talk about the 15 and 6 number 1 team overall, 10 and 4 in the conference, 3 and 0 in their division, 9 and 1 in their last 10, a 4-game winning streak for the LA Clippers. That's who you're talking about, all right?
Well,
Who's the starting point guard for LA Clippers?
Let's find out. Let's check
Oh,
the
all
tape.
right.
isn't it
You don't know.
Patrick
You just-
Beverly?
Avery
You would
Bradley
No,
or
it's not Patrick
Oh.
Beverly, isn't it?
I don't know. He didn't. If it's Patrick Beverly, he didn't register any points, or registered the top points. Let's see. Patrick Beverly played 16 minutes, so I doubt that's him. So I have a guard that's Avery Bradley, logged in 32 minutes, and Shai Gilgeous Alexander.
Say it again.
Shai
again.
Gilgeous Alexander.
No, Patrick Beverly's the starting point guard. He may have got
Gilgeous.
hurt or something.
Gilligos?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, no, yeah, come on.
But the two guards that logged in
Interesting.
32 minutes each is Avery Bradley and Shai Gilgeous
Well,
Alexander.
Bradley's the shooting guard. He's the
I want to say it's Gilligos.
3-and-D guy.
Nope,
He's
I got
good.
it. I got it. It's Marcin Gortat, starting point guard.
Yeah. Pat Beverly wasn't starting. He was their starting. Maybe they're holding him back. Anyway, so moving on, there was another team in Los Angeles. I don't want to take away from that. There was another team, and that team may have had the greatest player on the planet playing last night, who played like the greatest player on the planet, recording a total of 38 points, including 12 points in the final 5 minutes.
Labbeard,
gonna-
Nick
he's gonna step
Vucevic plays for the Orlando Magic, so the greatest player in the world.
Who should be
is
an
not-
all-star this year. He better
He
get
should
voted
be.
in. He should be an all-star this year.
Oh,
He should be an
man.
all-star. I'm
Dude,
just
you just
saying.
hate on LeBron all the time, man. Just stop hating. It makes you look bad, man.
Man. So LeBron James comes out and has himself a game against the tough Indiana Pacers, the Pacers that are led by our old friend from the Orlando Magic, and that would be Victor Oladipo. It doesn't matter that Indiana has a superstar because the Los Angeles Lakers, they get LeBron back after him having a kind of a ghost-type outing the other night with 14 points and not really doing much.
Well, when you go against the greatest player, Nick Vucevic, like he did with the Lakers and the Orlando Magic, it's understandable. So I'm glad he's finally out from underneath the oppressive,
That's it.
weight-bearing Orlando Magic defense. Everybody's been pretty much saying that the Magic defense is like the 85 Bears this year. So
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think anybody's saying that.
Who
But
said
that's
that?
it's a good analogy.
Did you? Okay, who you been listening to?
I've been listening to Scout Team Radio.
You've been listening to
might
that
need to
local sports
reevaluate
radio a
some
little too
things.
much, I think.
Might need to reevaluate some things.
All right, go on
So
with your
Lakers
your
get a big win
LeBron
last night,
your
yep.
LeBron love fest. Go on.
All right, Lakers win 104-96. That's it. That's all I got. Just that LeBron showed up, no big deal. And afterwards in the press conference, he said he's having trouble deciding when he should dominate and when he should defer. So he's still trying to figure this team out. He'll figure it out. Don't worry, Chris America. LeBron is not gone. He has not disappeared. LeBron and the Lakers, they're still going to make some noise. It's not like your Celtics.
Hold on.
Maybe crying noise.
Victor Oladipo didn't even play last night, and we're supposed to be impressed with this win?
Yeah, well, you know.
Wow. Okay. I thought he went up against the superstar of the Indiana Pacers, but apparently the Pacers said, this is a no-win game for us. Like, if we beat the Lakers, they're a bad team. Nobody cares. So we're going to rest our players on this one.
Vic must be hurt.
He
must
might be.
hurt.
I don't know, but he didn't play last night. He
Damn.
didn't log any minutes.
No, he didn't play last night. I don't even
Didn't
see
log any minutes. Is that a
see
new
what he's
term?
got. He must be hurt.
Log any minutes?
We got to get up on the Indiana Pacers a little bit more. I just was
I
watching
do
LeBron,
like
you
Lonzo
know?
Balls. Lonzo Ball with
You
an
do like
impressive
Lonzo
2
Balls?
points.
You like Lonzo's
Yeah.
Did
balls?
you say that? You heard that?
Yes,
That's
I did.
what he said. He said he liked
Get that
Lonzo's
drop.
balls.
Record it. 2 points.
This was a great
Oh, is
show.
it really
Stay
that
tuned
time?
next week for Lonzo's Balls.
Is it really that time? Yeah, it's that time.
Wow. 2 points. He's getting his dad's average down.
Lonzo's balls. Lakers will suck.
Too bad my boy Wancho didn't play last night. He would have logged more than 2 points.
Doesn't Wancho have like a theme song
Oh, we should do a theme song.
for Wancho?